is up, Fuse? Pastor Mike here, and we are starting a brand new series actually online today called First Fruits. And what we're doing is walking through the fruit of the Spirit. In Galatians chapter 5, Paul, he writes out a list of 9 things that as believers we are meant to showcase in our lives. And this isn't a to-do list of, man, if you do these things, then you'll be a good Christian or then you can go to heaven. Once we've decided on Jesus, these are things that should be evident in our lives. And so let's go ahead and read that verse. Verse 22 of chapter 5. It says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control." And so again, Paul listing out all these things, but today we're just talking about one. And so the fruit of the Spirit is love. That's the first one he mentions. And I feel like it's really easy to just kind of pass over that word, right? I mean, we use it all the time. I love pizza. I love Ohio State. Maybe even good things like I love going to church. That's all great. And even the Bible has different references to love. You know, you can love someone like a family member or a friend. But the word here, it's using a self-sacrificial love. It's referring to a love that you show someone else when you're putting yourself after them. You're saying, man, I want what's best for you. I'm seeking out your good instead of mine. And again, not just saying that you love them, but you're putting them in front of what you want and your needs. And this is the type of love that's mentioned here in Galatians chapter 5, that we're giving up what we want to help others. And the best example we have of that love is found in Jesus. Ephesians chapter 5 says that we should be imitators of God as dearly loved children and walk in love, as Christ also loved us and gave himself up for us, a sacrificial and fragrant offering to God. So we are to be like God, and we do that by walking in love. And Jesus gives us the best example of that as he sacrificed himself for us. He gave up his life so that we could gain new life. And again, we're told to be like him. But look at how much God has shown us love. Because again, God's love for us is the best example that we have of how to love others and love him. And notice like how much it cost him. Look at how much we did not deserve it. Romans 5:8 said that God proves his own love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. It says that he proved his love. God doesn't just say, hey, I love you, and I wish the best for you. I'll see you at the end of your life. He proved his love. We didn't deserve it. It says that while we were still sinners, that all of us, no matter how good we think we are, no matter how many good things that we can accomplish during our lives, we all fall short of God's standard. And it says that we are all enemies of God, that we are sinners, that we are not in any way deserving of this love. But God proved his love. He showed it. And he was about action and not just words. And again, knowing that we did not deserve it, we still can't do anything to this day to earn it. And I think that says a lot about how we should love, right? I mean, it's easy to show love to others when they love us, or when they're kind to us, or when we can gain something from them, right? But it's not so easy to love someone who, let's just be honest, they can kind of be a jerk sometimes, they're not the nicest, or, it would take a lot of effort to show them, love how God has loved us. But I think that's what God is calling us to do. And so honestly, think about it. Who in your life is God telling you, hey, it may cost you some time, it may cost you effort, it may cost you maybe reputation, but who is God calling you to love just as he has loved us? And notice what it costed Jesus. It says that Christ died for us. This wasn't just some nice casual gesture. Christ died for us. He left heaven, came to earth to be tortured and crucified on a cross for us. Again, he gave up his life so that we could have a new one. And I don't want us to miss how important this is. That it's not just we're loving to be kind or good people. We love because God loved us first. And even Jesus points out the significance of this in the Gospels. as he's traveling and teaching in Matthew 22, some of the Pharisees who were always trying to trip Jesus up and trick him and trying to get him to say the wrong things, they asked him in verse, 36 of chapter 22, "Teacher, which command in the law is the greatest?" And so they're saying, Jesus, out of all the commandments, the commands, the laws, what's number one? Which is the greatest command? And I think we do this all the time, right? I mean, maybe you're having like a debate or arguing with your friends, like, man, who is the greatest basketball player alive? Okay, or man, who has the best chicken sandwich out there? Is it Popeyes or is it Chick-fil-A? And let's just be honest, Chick-fil-A is not losing that battle. Popeyes can just close their doors down. But we do this all the time, and they're asking Jesus to rank which one is the greatest. And here's his response. He said, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, with all your mind. This is the greatest and most important command. The second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and prophets depend on these two commands." He's saying, hey, everything can be summed up by these two. First and most importantly, love God. And the second, love people, or love your neighbor. So the most important thing, Jesus is saying, out of all of it, the most important things that we can do is love God and love people. It's pretty important. Jesus, points that out time after time. And again, we love others by first understanding God's love for us. And that's incredibly important, that once we have trusted Jesus with our lives, God gives us the Holy Spirit and allows himself to work in us. And again, because we are naturally, myself included, self-centered, selfish, it's difficult to love God and love others. But that's why, again, he has given us the Holy Spirit to work in our lives, to allow us to grow closer to God and show that growth. That again, this is the fruit of the Spirit. That it's not just me, being a better person. This isn't the fruit of Michael Miller or the fruit of the believer. It's the fruit of the Spirit. That God himself is working in us. And so just a little challenge this week. Find ways to love others. Find people, pray for opportunities, and be asking yourself, okay, who does God want me to show love to? Does he want me to, pray for our country, pray for our leaders, pray for people that need to know you? Does he want me to help my family members or my neighbors out, maybe help do things around the house and chores? And, does he want me to go babysit for my cousins for no pay? Like, whatever it is, find ways to love others, because that's what God is calling us to do. And most importantly, we need to find ways to love God, that we can spend time in his word. We can spend time talking to him and knowing him more. And the more we know him, and the more that we understand how great of a love that he has shown us, we can have that same love for other people. And that's what we want to challenge you guys with. And again, the rest of the series, we'll be talking about the other 8 fruits of the Spirit. But this week, find ways and be asking yourself and praying to God, how can I love God and love people? See you next time.